I stand with dogged determination. I stand in the ring, not being one to passively step aside or stand with my hands behind my back, let alone shrug and walk away. I sense and want to sensitize. Hi, I'm Zina. My purpose of this narrative in today's video is to bring to light something that you may be already aware of, something you may know full well, and so for you, I aim to complement the information that you already have with my personal input gained on the job. For you who may know a little vaguely only the periphery, I aim to create a familiarity and an awareness through my up-close acquaintance and personal understanding of it. If you carefully follow through to the end, you will understand clearly my intent of the following incident. Here goes. One day, an after-office rendezvous had me and a friend sharing unwind time together. The evening peckish attack got us both plunged into our burgers and coffee. After a few silent mouthfuls, my friend tried to start a conversation with me. She lost out because she couldn't get very far with my monosyllabic responses. It wasn't the spread in front of me that had my attention, but a table adjacent that had drawn all of it. Intriguing was not the ongoing dialogue at the table there, but the flow of love that had me completely captivated. Only about 20 or so was this young boy with the softest of a persuasive conduct and attitude, most gently helping his companion, an elderly gentleman, with his snack. No fuss, no nag, no fret, no bustle, only a calm, cool, unruffled function. This was a treat for me, a rare trend. In awe I stared, filled with contented esteem and approval. I marveled at this young person's serene, unwearied approach, manner and tone which I truly admired that day and still do hold in very high regard today. Sitting alongside each other, the old man was being attended to with utmost warmth and affection, no forcefulness, nor any hint or cause of awkwardness, slighting his self-dignity. No big deal, you may be thinking, but the imprints on my heart were several. The tender serenity and patient fortitude exuded from a boy of his age was surely commendable. Another point worth noting out of this observation, which definitely is laudable, is that in today's demanding, eventful, go-getting world when almost every young person has something important to do, here was someone who had made time, precious time for another. However, it wasn't just time for another only, but for another who was not as fit, able, and concurring as himself. And that too, at 2 generations apart. Here he was with someone who definitely needed a lot of gentle cajoling to go through the process of snack time, as I could understand. Filled with contented esteem and approval at this young person's serene, unwearied approach, which is so worth the mention, my heart reached out. Knowing as a caregiver firsthand what really entails caring for someone at the level that it demands. Most importantly and admirable of that unexceptional and unpretentious moment is the implication and significance that can be attached to this thing called caregiving and what it is all about. In case you are still wondering what I'm talking about or why I'm sharing this with you, it's because latest statistics show us how rapidly this dreadful thing called dementia is catching up. With more than 55 million people worldwide, say 2 years ago, And with about 10 million cases every year, according to Alzheimer's Disease International, it implies that someone in the world develops dementia every 3.2 seconds. This number is expected to rise to 78 million in 2030 and a good 139 million in 2050. In addition to this, apparently 3/4 of people with dementia have not received diagnosis and hence do not have access to treatment, care, or support that a formal diagnosis can provide. My purpose is not to cause a panic, but to help diminish or minimize the lack of awareness and understanding of it, which could result in, besides stigmatization, barriers to diagnosis and care. I'm a caregiver, not by profession. It goes back a long time ago, sometime in the 1980s, when my father was diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's. At that time, it was something new and totally strange to us, something which was absolutely unheard of for our family because I guess there was very little or no awareness about it then. Now that was a good 35 years ago. No care centers back then at that point in time, or any organizations to give us support, at least where we lived in Manipur. Now, 30 years and more since my father's passing, I have begun caregiving once again. This time round, quite full-fledged as prime caregiver of two other very dear and precious people in my life. There's such a vast scope from which to discover the many harsh realities about dementia. But let me gently impart to you some basic facts that would create a better understanding of the whys and whats of this malady. The first and very important point number 1, is that although dementia is known to be mainly known to affect older people, it is not an inevitable consequence of aging alone. In my life, this finding has greatly helped me to come to terms with this illness. Acceptance is what I'd like to call it. Embracing this fact that something like this can come upon anyone, irrespective of age, social status, that this dreadful illness does not only come with age alone. As unknown as are the very causes, it can and has struck individuals even in their 60s. Why, in fact, I have personally known of someone who was struck by this even as early as in her 40s. Point number 2 being that dementia has been studied to result from a variety of diseases and repetitive injuries that primarily or secondarily affect the brain, which leads to deterioration in cognitive function beyond the usual expected consequences of biological aging. It has been seen that dementia may also develop after a stroke. The third point is that though dementia is currently known to be the 7th leading cause of death among diseases, the risk of cognitive decline and dementia can be reduced by being physically active, besides the usually known harmful, unhealthy practices of diet and lifestyle. Additional risk factors include depression, social isolation, cognitive inactivity, and even air pollution. The fourth point is that There are three known recognizable levels or stages of this disease, though it affects each person in a different way depending upon underlying causes and its duration, depending predominantly on the kind of caregiving. Now, these are four very basic points to be regarded to begin with. I know there are many of you out there facing this formally or informally with close family or someone who you may know of who does. A heartfelt shout out to those who are into caring for loved ones, whatever may be your affliction, irrespective of its level, it remains a challenge. Each one's challenge at caregiving cannot be measured with a yardstick. Each set of challenges vary depending on the setback. Out of necessity, I was drawn into this slowly but surely. I didn't choose to be caregiver as much as I think no caregiver does out of choice. It just is sometimes thrust upon you. As for me, not being one to passively step aside or stand with my hands behind my back, let alone shrug and walk away, expecting someone else to do the job, I stood and stand with dogged determination to face the challenge before me, and here I am. Besides acceptance, which I had mentioned earlier, another point I believe being that this was willed to be by God, not as a form of punishment of sorts as some would have believed. If it helps you, I say this with an assured assertion because as much as I might try to unravel the ambiguity of the whys and hows of all that comes with the package of something like this, here I am, still standing in the ring, despite the blows, the punches, pummels and knockouts. I am no Wonder Woman, and if not for the proof and evidence of the truth that whatever is given you, an equal level of endurance becomes yours, you wouldn't have me here. I'm not here to prove a point, but today, as a prime caregiver, grateful for not being a novice at it, I'm sure like many of you, often at my moments of groping my way through. There is so much to learn and unlearn because nothing is quite fixed. Every situation is different and needs to be realistically handled singularly as is required for each individual. What I have learned and am learning still is to work around the struggles of caregiving as is best possible as it arises. From day to day, this is what I hope to share with you and help answer your questions and queries with my personal hands-on knowledge and approach, together with that of those with more professional expertise. Yes, despite my years as a caregiver, I'm only an informal one, meaning that I'm not formally trained per se, but be that as a fact, what I'm going to tell you cannot be denied or proved wrong. This is what I've learned from over my years of caregiving, which is whatever be the level or stage of dementia in your loved one, be there a cure or not. For me, the answer is love. Cognitive impairment does not wipe love out of any individual system. Though reciprocation may not often be possible, the heart still beats, still feels. And if love is given, it definitely can be felt. So what if the brain has lost its capacity to respond as we expect it to? The heart feels, and that's what counts. I speak with every bit of conviction and certainty in me because I know and see it every single minute, every single day. And am I thankful that it can never be taken away by this disease. It may take away all else, but not love. The challenges, frustrations and struggles I will not deny, but believe me when I say that it comes easy when there's true, genuine love within, placed there in you for those that have been placed in your life for you to care for. Cliched as it may sound, I still say from my heart, love conquers it all. It's no sacrifice. Now that you've heard me through, I thank you. If you really have, then I'm guessing your mind's already racing with questions to be answered. Do jot them down in the comment section or on my mail ID given, and I promise to get the answers across to you. My next video in this series, Sense It and Sensitize, will have more tips and guidelines, this time on giveaway signs and symptoms of dementia that you should watch out for. So do subscribe for more, share this with those who may be blessed, like it even if only one sentence has caught your attention. Love and more love.